It is the 19th of January. This is Rabbi Levitt, Pele Yoetz.
Okay, good morning, Lou. How are you?
Baruch Hashem. Where is everybody?
Hope they're not outside.
Wow, what a bracha.
Okay.
So
we're ready.
Are we on
Yeah.
191 or 192?
We're on I think we are I think we're on the we started this we started on 190 and we got to the first paragraph, end of the first paragraph on 191. And I don't think we did the no, I don't remember looking up this Gemara in Megillah. No, we did. So this last big paragraph on 191. It starts with however.
Okay.
I think that's what we're up to.
However, what shall we do in these generations where the speeches of sages who recite from memory are more beloved, when they announce that there will be an extemporaneous presentation, the entire city comes to the synagogue to hear the speech. Yet if it is a speech drawn from earlier sources, almost no one comes. This attitude lacks any logic. If they announced that some great sage was coming to the city to speak, all the inhabitants of the city would gather to hear his discourse. Yet if it is written in a book, they don't want to listen. If these were people capable of learning from a book and could say the written Torah is located on the shelf, when I have free time, I will learn it, I would keep quiet. But here is the problem. For this is the practice of the ignorant who do not even know how to open a book. They consider it a disgrace if rather than delivering an extemporaneous speech, the speaker recites words from written text. They declare that this man is not a sage, but someone who knows what is written in books. For such people, it is impossible to say, and he will cleanse them. The best advice is that the sage should deliver the majority of his speech from memory, collected from the precious everyday things that are found in the published works. When he speaks, he must take to heart the greatness of the earlier sages and recognize his own lowly status and limited understanding. He must relate things in the name of their originator and not wear a talus which does not belong to him. Even if he adds on his own commentary or kernel of wisdom to the words of the earlier sage, he must not identify them by his own name. Great is the evil of someone who wears a talus which does not belong to him. Yet a person who says an idea in the name of the one who first said it brings redemption to the world. I do not understand this paragraph.
Yeah, I'm not.
And if a person adds his own chiddush, I would say, Dafka, he should say, this is from me, because in his humility, he wants people to know what I'm saying now might or might not be so correct as when I'm quoting a sage. So take it with a grain of salt. This is my thought.
Um, what, let's see. I'm just looking to see where you're quoting from where he said.
I'm saying that he said that even if he adds his own commentary or kernel of wisdom to the words of the other sage, he must not identify them by his own name.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What does he mean by that? Okay, this section starts from the best advice. The best advice that the sage should deliver the majority of his speech from memory, collected from the precious everyday things that are found in the published works.
So I think that means he should fool the audience into thinking that that this is not from written texts.
Let me just see in the Hebrew here. Ha'etza ha'yu'utza shi'alaketz rov drashato bal peh midvorim nechmadim sheyesh besvorim yavi mina hedyot also darash yitain belibo godel malis hachamim harishonim v'yakir miut erko kotzer hasagoso. Well, his basic point here is that the best speech should be a speech that's based upon sources, and the sources. That's his basic point. That Aklishmo drasha hadrasha shadorish mitoch hasefer kimat leis dechash lo milsa below tama. He complains about the fact that people don't want to hear the speakers speak based upon what's written in Svarim from earlier authorities.
Right.
This is not good, because the earlier authorities know more than we do, and that would be the best thing if the speakers would speak their speeches based upon the svarim of the earlier authorities. That's number one. But he's noting the fact that if a speaker is going to make a point of reading what he says out of svarim, so that no one is going to want to listen to this. That's what he claims. Right. The situation was in his that's what he sees. It's going around. I mean, I don't really relate to this so much. I don't mean, I don't know what goes on in every shul in the world, but it seems to me that if we're talking about a shul made of Orthodox Jews, and the rabbi gets up to speak. He speaks based upon the earlier sources. He may try to bring it down to he may try to make it current and make it so that people will see what the relevance is to themselves. But it's all based upon the earlier sources. That's what I see. I don't relate to this what he's saying here so much. I don't I don't know what type of shul that he's talking about, really.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I mean, I've been to shiurim where the rabbi walks in with his arms loaded with books, and there's bookmarks in there so that he knows where to turn. He's prepared this all ahead of time, and he quotes the sources, and that's laudable. That makes you feel like it makes me feel like he's done his research. He's prepared a good shiur.
That's normal practice. You research and you give over what someone else said. But, I don't know, the last two sentences sort of contradict each other. Great is the evil of someone who wears a talus which does not belong to him. And it says, yet a person who says an idea in the name of the one who first said it brings redemption to the world. Do two of those go together, or one maybe?
היו אומרים הרב הגדול פלוני בא לעיר ודורש על הטבע היו נקבצים כל בני העיר לשמוע דרשתו לפי שכתוב ולפי שכתוב בספר לא יאהבו לשמוע. He maintains that if people hear that a certain great speaker is coming to speak, and that everybody will come to hear him. But if he opens up a sefer from the earlier sources, then they won't want to come. אילו היו בני אדם שיודעים ספר, היו יכולים לומר תורה מונחת בקרן זווית. Okay. Okay, so that part that he's saying over there, we don't really relate to. Then he says, Herpahu lokeach in bisman shenogu lidrosh drasha bal peh, yirtzu lidrosh mitoch ha-sefer, yomru lo ze enu chacham, eli yodei ha-sefer. We're going to the efshar loymar okay. So therefore he's giving his eitzah. Okay, what's his eitzah? Chilaket rov drachato balpeh. That he has to memorize his speech and say it over. But it should be based upon dvarim nechmadim sheyesh besforim. Yavi mina hedyot. But also drash, yitain belibo, godo malas chachamim arishonim. Should be based upon the earlier authorities. V'yakir miut erko, v'kotzer hasagato, yom adavam b'shem amru, v'lo yis labesh b'talis she'eno shalo. But then he says that even if he's going to do this, I think the issue is like this. If he's not going to, if he's going to say it over Baal Peh and not bring sources and quote and bring this Svarim and quote the Svarim from the Sefer, so that people will that's what people want, he says. But then he's got a big problem, because at the end of the day, he'll still have to quote that what he's saying is from this earlier authority, because that's what he means when he says about the wearing the talus. You can't wear a talus that doesn't belong to himself. Means that's his way of saying, if he is going to base his drasha on earlier authorities, he has to give them credits and say that this, what I'm saying, is from this earlier authority. Okay. And then, okay, here's the last thing that he says. Afilu imhu hosif nofech ogar ger lo yikra osam al shmo. Kiraba ras hamislabish patalis she'enu shalo. He means to say like this: even if he's going to make some knetch or addition to a bit of a twist, but it's primarily based upon the words of an earlier sage. Lo yikra osam al shmo. Hiraba ras hamislabish betalis she'enu shalo. Oh, I'm not gonna, what, you know what he's saying over here? I think he is saying exactly like Lalu said. I'll read you the Hebrew. I don't know. We'll go back to the translation in a minute, but I'm just reading from the Hebrew. He says over here, right. Yomer Davar b'Shem Omro. He should say that he should realize his low worth in comparison to the earlier sages, and he should quote what they say. Yomar Davar b'Shem Omro, v'lo yislabesh b'talis she'enu shelo. He shouldn't wear a talus that doesn't belong to him. And now he's saying a second point. He's saying vafilu imhu hosif nofech o garger. Even if he's going to add even a certain a small amount, a small twist to what it is that with the basic idea, what he's saying is coming from the earlier authority, but he's now adding something which is his own and not what the earlier authority said. Lo yikra osam al shmo. He shouldn't make it appear that what is being said now is from the earlier sage, but that rather this he should point out that this is what he is saying.
Oh, that's the opposite of the English.
Yeah. Hiraba raus hamaslabish batalis she'enu shelo. That's the he's also saying that is on that as well. The evil is great in regard to one who wears a talus that's not his.
Right.
What is he?
The previous sentence, my English says he must not identify them by his own name. And what you just translated is that he should identify them by his own name.
Yeah, the Hebrew is lo yikra osam al shmo. I'm understanding that to mean he shouldn't attribute what he is saying to from his own words, his own addition to the words, to make it sound as though this is also what the earlier authority said.
Okay.
So there's two things. When he is actually saying something that is there's two things. If he is actually saying something from the earlier sage, he has to say that this is from the earlier sage. And the corollary of that is even if what he is saying is something which what he's being mosif, and that's a midah of chachma, right? Tein lechacham v'yechkem od. You give a piece of wisdom to a chacham, and what does he do with it? He takes it, he gets it, and then he expounds upon it further. But that expounding is not what the first earlier authority said, but it's what this chacham is saying. So that's good. That's not a bad thing. But what he's emphasizing is that the speaker who's making this addition should not lo yikra osam al shmo. He shouldn't make it appear that this addition, what is being said now, is also from the earlier sage, because that would be a misrepresentation. Okay, and then he quotes the Gemara in Megillah. Omer davar b'shem omro maybe gula olam. And that, of course, is the famous story with Esther, when Esther told the king that the Bixen and Sheresh were planning on assassinating him. So Esther related to Achashverosh that Mordecai told her this. And that was the whole underpinning of the redemption, that Achashverosh remembered that Mordecai was the one who said this. Okay, all right. He must not identify them by his own name. That's correct. Rates the evil of a person who wears a talisman does not belong to him.
Wait. How can you say that's correct? It's not correct.
Even if he adds on to his own commentary,
right,
he must not identify them by his own name. Oh, yeah, I don't like the way he translated that. No. He must not identify them by the name of the sage.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like that translation.
But the problem is, if you translate it your way, that he should identify that it's his own additional chiddush, then the next sentence doesn't really fit. Great is the evil of someone who wears a talus which does not belong to him. That implies that he's misrepresenting the knowledge as being his own, but he's not. He's properly representing it.
No, he's talking about someone who says his own hosafa, but he doesn't mention that this is his own hosafa. And people are led to believe that what he's saying, this hosafa that he's saying, this addition that he's saying, also is from the earlier sage, and so therefore he's that's also improper, and that's also called mislabish batalis she'ena shalo, because
But
he's
that's not the
clothing
way
his
you-
word.
That's not the way you translated it.
He's clothing his words in in the cloak of the earlier sage.
But the way you translated it was that he's not doing that, that he is in fact identifying the words as being his own.
He's telling you what it is that one should not do. In the Hebrew, it says, Lo yikra osam al shmo. He should not call them on his own name. Not here, I made the same mistake as the translator. He should not call them on his name, meaning the name of the earlier sage.
Okay, so if that's true,
Doesn't
then
mean his
he is
own
not
name.
wearing the talus of somebody else.
No, he's when he's following after that, he's saying, and somebody who is making this hosafa and not saying that it is a hosafa on the earlier sage, which would say that earlier sage didn't say that. So that's called wearing a cloak that doesn't belong to the speaker. Someone who violates that and doesn't do as I say is in violation. Right? That's what he's saying. He's saying that again, imhu hostif, nofech, or garger, if he's going to, even if he's going to add on a bit to what he says with his own insight into what the earlier sage has said, lo yikra osam al shmo. He should be careful not to call those words of addition al shmo, on his name. Who's the he that he is referring to? The name of the earlier sage, not like the translation.
Right.
Then he says ki, because what? Why is that? Ki rabo ras hamaslabish b'talis she'eno shelo, because it's a great evil to cloak oneself in a talus that doesn't belong to him. And that's what such a person would be doing if he would violate what the Pele Yoetz is saying not to do. Because he's saying his own chiddush, and by not yeah, it's very confusing. I can't even say it properly. Lo yikra osam al shmo. He shouldn't attribute that which he is adding on to his name, meaning the name of the earlier sage.
Right. Yeah, I see how you can read it that way. That's not the way I was reading it. So I get what you're saying. It's the translation is very difficult. But I see how you're reading it. You're reading it differently than the way it seems.
Yeah, I don't like the translation. It's not it's misleading.
Yeah.
My view is that it's too long. You get lost from the beginning, and then you sort of get lost before the time you get to the end.
Yeah, that's
It's too much verbiage. There's too much verbiage in it. I got glitched out
Just,
twice. Our electricity gave us a little glitch twice, so my computer got shut down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
If he tries to cover too much in this one,
I'm sorry, I won't be able to join you after all. Everything's okay, just having a bit of problems with the electricity and stuff.
Roy, I've gotten 2 glitches already.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll try. I might be able to join you for later on for the next session. We'll see. Okay.
Slaka Rabba, Roy.
Okay, it's hope it all works out.
Yeah, really.
You can join us.
Well, so we got 2 glitches.
Yeah, I've got a flood.
Right.
A flood?
Yeah, I got to
Oh,
spend
yeah.
an estimate somewhere between 800 and 20,000 shekels,
Wow.
depending on which contractor does the work and what the problem is.
Right. Right.
Hey, hey.
Hopefully it'll be the 800.
That would be nice.
Go back to the Sefer we learned from about Ptachin and pray a little bit more, pray a little bit to Hashem to you should get Rakmanos.
Amen.
Okay. So that's okay. Well, we still could give a round of applause for 191. Did finish it. Okay. Now we are on 192. Dovev Sipse Yishenim, moving the lips of those who sleep. Well, this looks interesting.
He's given us 2 large ones, one running after the other.
Oh yeah, this is a huge paragraph.
Okay, who wants to start this paragraph? And
Okay, I'll start it. Moving the lips of those who sleep. The move of the lips of those who sleep. Shira Shirim, 710. Our sages in Yerushalmi Shekalim explain that if someone says a Torah idea in the name of a Torah scholar, his lips pulsate in the grave, and he has pleasure and satisfaction like a person who drinks spiced wine. In light of this, it is befitting every person whom God has graced with understanding to write and publish a book according to his ability to benefit the masses. He performs kindness for many generations to come, and he will reap the fruit of his labors, that the sage's lips will pulsate in the grave each time someone learns from his book for all generations. This is a kindness of truth that a man can perform for the righteous, the holy men of the earth. Their portion is for eternal life to study their words. The merit will be a source of protection and a shield upon one who studies. It is written in the holy books, Shem Hagadolim of the Chida, Erech Harav Moshe Alshesh, that one time during a program, Harav Moshe Alshesh appeared in broad daylight and saved the person from disaster because that person studied his book constantly. Especially important to them if a man attempts to justify their words, especially important to them if a man attempts to justify their words. Look in the work, Magid, Mashurim, and Parshas by Yikal, Daf 80, Akdama Daf 4, that the messenger angels revealed to the Beit Yosef, Rabbi Yosef Karo, that the Rambam was a very strong advocate on his behalf in heaven because Harav Karo strove to explain and justify his words. At the time of his death, the Rambam came to greet him in heaven. Similarly, it is mentioned in the introduction to the Magini Shlomo that in return for his efforts to defend the words of Rashi against the challenges of Tosafot, that all the time, at the time of his death, he merited that Rashi accompanied him in heaven. Behold, if so, how good is it to learn the words of the Tanaim, Moram, and the early sages and to defend their words, for their merit pierces the heaven and ascends above. It is good that a person should learn in any book, for all of them are good. This obligation is most incumbent upon the descendants of the author, for all subsequent generations to learn the work of their ancestor and defend his words. It is proper for children to have piety on their parents and to feed them delicacies. The parents in turn will have a pity on their children and advocate on their behalf, as is a way of a father to have compassion on his son. It's introduction to the work of Hesed Avraham, my teacher Rav Avraham Azule. This mitzvah is also incumbent upon the congregation of the Torah scholar to learn his words, to sing his melodies, and other similar things. As a result, his merit will protect them and hover over them the entire day. Wow.
Okay, so that's the that's what the Chiddush, the Yediyah, the Yesod, the foundational principle that he's saying here, the truth, that if someone says he says over the Torah in the name of the Torah scholar that he is quoting, he relates the Torah of the Torah sage. So it says that the lips of that Torah sage, who is no longer in this world, pulsate in the grave, as it were, and he has pleasure and satisfaction from the person who related his Torah thoughts. So,
can we tie this one to the last one we just read? This is talking about giving over, right?
Right.
Wrote.
What's that?
They said he's talking about giving over what someone else wrote, which is what we discussed in the previous.
Right. Right. So he's brought another aspect of this practice of quoting the earlier sages, of relating their Torah, that it's a tremendous pleasure and satisfaction for the earlier authority that someone is relating his Torah in this world. So in a sense, what that means is that that earlier sage, even though he's no longer in this world in a physical sense, he really is in this world in a very, very important sense, because people are still relating the Torah that he taught. And so, and then he mentions the fact that if we do this, in other words, as opposed to a person just, I guess, composing his own Torah thoughts, his own original Torah thoughts. But he's simply he's allowed to relate his own Torah thoughts, and when scholars do that, they generally do base their own original thoughts on the words of earlier authorities. That is the proper and the correct way to propound an original Torah thought. That it's basically an extension and an addition to an earlier thought. But he's saying that this is something that creates a great protection for the person, for us who say over who relate the Torah thoughts of the earlier sages. And he quotes an incredible story here that during a pogrom, when a certain person was in danger, and this person who was in danger in this pogrom, he learned the Svarim of Rav Moshe Alshich very, very much, and he was a very devoted Talmud of the Svarim of Rav Moshe Alshich, even though he never met Rav Moshe Alshich, but he just learned his Svarim, and it says that this is quoted in the Sefer of the Chidah, that this was something that happened, a true story, that the Chidah appeared in broad daylight, and he not the Chidah, the Rav Moshe Alshich, the one that this person whose Svarim that was the Svarim that the person learned, Rav Moshe Alshich appeared like he was alive, and in broad daylight he went ahead and saved this person from being murdered, and all because of the fact that this person had been a devoted student and learned the Svarim of Rav Moshe Alshich. And then he speaks about the importance of the present generation to not only learn the words and relate the Torah thoughts of the previous generations, but to defend them and to explain the correctness of what they have said, and even in the case of the Meginei Shlomo, he would defend the words of Rashi against all the challenges that Tosfos asks on Rashi in the Gemara, and it says that Rashi accompanied the Meginei Shlomo to Shemayim. So this is and then if someone knows that he has is that what they call an antecedent, someone in a previous generation that is from his family, that he has a special obligation to learn the words of Torah of that grandfather, great grandfather, and also of course to defend his words. So that's the idea of the Pele Yoetz over here once again, to revere the words of the earlier authorities, to learn them, to quote them, to relate their Torah thoughts, and to defend them even from attack of later authorities. Because we should never come away thinking that, that Tosfos asked this question on Rashi, it must mean that Rashi made a mistake. Chas v'shalom, to think such a thing, right? But it seems as though Tosfos has a very strong question, and we learn Tosfos, and Tosfos is also Kodesh Kedoshim, of course. Tosfos has a point to what he's saying, and the question that he asks on Rashi needs to be studied and understood clearly. But at the same time, we also have to understand that that the question that he's asking on Rashi has an answer, and Rashi is not mistaken in what he says. And this is another principle of Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim. Even when we say that we paskin we have a machlokes between Shammai and Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, we say the Gemara says that the Bas Kol said that the halacha follows Beis Hillel. Oh, really? If the Bas Kol comes and says that the halacha is like Beis Hillel, doesn't that mean that Beis Hillel is right? And if that's so, then that means that Beis Shammai is not. Chas v'shalom. Both of them are right. Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim Chaim, says the Gemara. Both the words of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel are the words of the living God. And so why did the Bas Kol say that the halacha is like Beis Hillel? Because the Bas Kol knows that that's the way Hashem wants that we should conduct ourselves right now, according to Beis Hillel. But I believe that it is also brought somewhere that that La'asid Lavo, in the time to come, the halacha will then go back to be according to Beis Shammai. So there we see a proof of the truth of the words of Beis Shammai. Okay, 11:30, and we are going to promptly say all the best to our friend Mayor.
Okay, have a good day,
Have a
everyone.
good day.
Have a wonderful day and
Thank you.
stay warm and healthy.